To me, one of the more interesting relationships in the entire series, or friendships rather, is Tails and Knuckles. You see, these are two characters that never really get seen together without Sonic being there. Now, these two are obviously friends, but to what degree and to what extent is their relationship? Like, how close are Tails and Knuckles in the first place? I feel like in order to talk about the relationship between Knuckles and Tails, we have to talk about the relationship between Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic and Tails as individuals. Firstly, let's talk about Sonic and Knuckles. Knuckles is not only Sonic's friend, but also his rival, in some capacity. Maybe not to the same length as Shadow is, or Jet, but Knuckles and Sonic have a rivalry that develops because of their differences on how to handle situations. At least that's how it seems. In other situations, it may just be Knuckles being gullible and believing whatever Eggman says, or someone else says, in difference to how Sonic thinks. And so the two of them will fight, or sometimes argue. But despite their several altercations, they both want what is best for the world and themselves. They're both good guys in a sense, and they both are actually friends. So even if their differences turn into brash arguments and fights, they still just want what's best for everybody. That said, let's get to the relationship between Sonic and Tails, and in this sense, Tails looks at Sonic like an older brother. These two grow constantly just by being around each other because they both have something to benefit from this relationship. Tails can grow in his confidence just by spending more time with Sonic and become stronger and smarter as well, and Tails can help Sonic complete tasks that Sonic otherwise couldn't do himself. You know, like creating inventions to stop Dr. Eggman. Now, I think there's actually one major thing that separates the relationship between Sonic and Tails and Sonic and Knuckles, and that's the sheer fact that Knuckles will fight Sonic and Tails if it comes down to it. And I'm not even talking about the events of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because that's its own thing. Knuckles just met these guys, and he doesn't really know who they are, so he thinks they're the bad guys. But in the case of Sonic Adventure, where Knuckles has known Sonic and Tails over a prolonged period of time, he still chooses to fight the two of them just because he believes they have pieces of the Master Emerald. I believe if the circumstances were different, Tails would not fight Sonic the Hedgehog if it came down to it. Yes, they've had their disagreements in the past, but it never evolves into a fist fight or anything along those lines. The two of them trust each other more than Knuckles trusts them at some times, and I think that's just because of Knuckles' gullibility. Now, I think it was crucial to talk about the relationship Sonic has between the two of them, because I think it will overall affect how Tails sees Knuckles, and vice versa. So let's first look at how Knuckles views Tails, and then we'll go from there. In an interview with Yuji Naka way back in 1997, he said that Knuckles was created to be a rival for Sonic. With that in mind, it's important to remember that Tails is always someone who is working with Sonic, always fighting on his side. So it seems as if the idea should be that Tails is also Knuckles' rival just by default, but maybe to a lesser extent considering that Sonic is the one who mainly fights Knuckles. The Sonic and Knuckles rivalry is one that prevails over the Tails and Knuckles rivalry. And nonetheless, you never really hear anyone talk about a Tails and Knuckles rivalry in the first place. Instead, what should be talked about is just how much Knuckles seems to trust Tails. I mean, aside from the fact that he's willing to fight him if he believes the Master Emerald is in his possession, Knuckles does trust Tails a hefty amount in order to fulfill certain tasks that he may not be able to on his own. Obviously, we know that Knuckles is not as smart as Tails, and this is something that's made pretty evident throughout the series in multiple games. And I'm not talking about dumb Knuckles like in Sonic Boom, I'm just talking about regular Knuckles, who actually isn't that smart. He's not stupid, but he's not a genius like Tails is. There are areas in which Tails is needed a lot in the Sonic the Hedgehog series where he needs to make some sort of new invention for the rest of them to kind of use in order to beat Eggman or save the world or whatever it may be. And in these situations, Knuckles has been known to trust in Tails. Not to mention, I feel like the relationship is actually a bit more like a older brother and younger brother relationship as well, much like Sonic and Tails, but again, to a different extent. I feel like Knuckles is more likely to play around and poke fun with Tails, and even say things that are sarcastic towards him, that he understands are completely just for fun. Whether it be Knuckles saying that the only thing Tails is good at is tinkering in Sonic Riders, or pretending that they just witnessed Shadow's ghost to scare Tails, I truly believe that Knuckles just likes playing around with Tails. And to answer the question, how does Tails see Knuckles? Well, I think he sees him like an older brother, like Sonic, but in a very different way. You see, I feel like Sonic helped Tails grow and mature and become who he is, but I think the important thing to realize here is that I think Sonic taught Tails how to be a friend, which in turn showed Knuckles what real friendship looks like. And I think with keeping that in mind, you realize that Sonic is a guide and a friend to Tails, whereas I feel like Knuckles is more so just a friend, not really a guide. While I do feel like that these two don't have as many interactions that I would like in the games, their unspoken ways of communication to indicate just how close they can be is really cool in my opinion. However, I feel like the best illustration of Tails and Knuckles that I've seen in recent years characters has to be the Sonic movie sequel. You see, these two didn't have a whole lot of screen time together that they weren't fighting in, but even still, towards the very end of the movie where those two realize that they can be friends, there's a whole segment where it's just those two fighting Eggman, and Sonic is off trying to be the distraction, and I thought the dynamic between these two was great. One of the funny things I noticed about this interaction in the movie is the sheer fact that Knuckles never referred to Tails by his actual name at no point during the movie, or even his nickname Tails for that matter. Throughout the entire duration of the film, he just calls him Fox, or the Fox. Now you can easily chalk that up to Knuckles being ignorant, but even towards the very end of the film where they're all playing the game of baseball, I almost guarantee that at this time, Knuckles knows Tails' actual name and still chooses to call him Fox, almost to suggest that these two have a close-knit relationship already at this point in time. Knuckles is giving Tails a nickname and the name that he really likes to call him. So it doesn't matter if his name is Tails or Miles, that's the name that Knuckles has given Tails because that's what he likes to call him, Fox. Actually, it was because of this movie that I wanted to make this video talking about the relationship and dynamic between Tails and Knuckles in the first place, and it made me realize that these two characters don't interact a whole lot in the games without Sonic being there in the first place, and I kind of felt the need to draw attention to it. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on the dynamic between Tails and Knuckles as a whole, whether it be the games, the movies, the comics, anything I missed, let me know down below. And also, while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the video if you really enjoyed this content, and don't forget to turn the post notifications bell on, that way you never missed a video from me. You do not want to miss what I have to say. But anyway, now's as good a time as any to shout out my legendary channel members. Thank you all so much for supporting me and creating the best possible content that I can create. Videos like these would not be possible without you. Y'all are truly the best, and I wake up every morning praising the Lord for awesome people like y'all. Thank you again. Thank you again so very much. If you want to become a member of my channel, there will be a link in the description down below. But if you want to support me through other means, I have a merch store. You guys can check out some legendary Sonicsta merch, whether they be hoodies, tote bags, t-shirts. You can find it all there, even stickers for that matter. So come on, support the squad. The merch store should be down there underneath the video as well if you want to check that out. But anyway, thank you all for watching. This is Sonicsta signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?